Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is, I think we're at episode 4 of the joint roundtable, but we're actually gone back to the original crew. So, welcome, Dale, Nick, and Donovan. Thank you for being here. Of course, I'm Alisha from Cosmic Gateway, and we're here to collaborate and talk about, well, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I mean, what's happening in the world at the moment? I'm not really sure. Guys, take it away. I'm just gonna hand it over to you guys. I mean, I've got stuff that I want to share and say, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Obviously, we're recording this. Today's the 8th of November, and here we are. I said that November was the first 2 weeks of November were probably going to be the biggest catalyst for change for 2020, and we're well into it. And you can certainly see that the I want to say the temperature's rising. Well, it is in Australia. We're going into summer, but it's getting pretty spicy out there, energetically, on social media, politically, and it's going to be really interesting to see what is going to unfold over the coming few weeks or perhaps even months. Who wants to jump in?
Well, you said everything that's happening. It's probably easier to start with what's not happening because
Yeah.
literally everything, it's been crazy. I've had nights there where I've just collapsed at like 9 o'clock from exhaustion and I don't quite know why.
Oh,
It's,
that's me. That's my bedtime. I've even
yeah,
had some 8:30s
yeah,
because I'm just wiped by it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just unbelievable. It's like energetically, politically, like just phenomenal, unbelievable. And I don't think there's an end really in sight at the moment.
Yeah.
It yeah.
Since you brought it up, I just want to bring it in, and obviously we're going to talk about what's happening with the US elections, and there's a lot of stuff that I really want to get your guys' thoughts on. But you brought it up, Nick, like the exhaustion is been off the charts. I know people who don't even necessarily sleep in the middle of the day have been telling me that they just can't, they can't stop sleeping because they're that tired and exhausted. So I know that's been a thing. But I have been having really weird sleep patterns, a lot of dreams. I do want to share some of the messages that I've been getting in my dream space. But I haven't had this in years, but I'm waking sometimes around anywhere between 3 and 5 o'clock, and I'm getting all these messages and information. Sometimes they're very, very specific and easily understood. Sometimes they're a bit weird and random. Like the other night, I was walking around the house trying to grapple with this concept that was being given to me. Not ready to talk about it because I don't think I fully understand it yet. And then I was thinking about all these things I didn't want to be thinking about 3:30 in the morning, like Hillary Clinton and wearing masks. And it was just so, and it was just trying to clear that energy so I could go back to sleep and hopefully get some rest. But I don't know if you guys have been having anything similar, but it's I don't think that's going to stop for the duration of the year either.
Yeah, I sent you guys a message in Messenger in our group chat the other day. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and just for 1 hour, bang, out, gone, finished. Just completely smashed. And I'll be funny, it just happens like it will happen at the quickest, like just unexpected moment, and you'll be completely gone, and then you come back and you're like, what was that? And I'd love, actually, Alisha, because it's so much been a part of your work, I'd love you to quickly just tell us about what's been happening on the Schumann resonance and the solar activity in the last week, because we saw some of those whiteout patterns that happened this week and right around the election. So I'd love to hear just a quick summation of what you witnessed this week.
Yeah, well, actually, I'll go back maybe 2 or 3 weeks because I've noticed patterns that towards the end of the week for the last 3 weeks we've had some very large sun or solar activity, sunspots, which really energize things. And my understanding from my observation is when you're sort of earlier on in becoming energy sensitive or in your awakening process, that sun activity creates crazy anxiety because it stirs up the solar plexus, right? And where do you keep all that energy, and so it sort of it can make people feel really out of control with tension, looping thoughts, and things like that. But what I notice is when we have huge influxes, so we're in the solar cycle 25, which has well and truly kicked in this year. And each post that Space Weather keep putting out is like, oh, the biggest sunspot of this solar cycle, and it's just getting increasing bigger and bigger. And I get excited because I'm like, I truly believe that in this solar cycle of 25, we will experience the solar flash, or a series of many solar flashes that will be very potent for the planet's ascension. But of course, when we have the solar activity, it sweeps in the solar winds, a couple of days after, and that's the one where it's like stop, drop, sleep, because you can't function. If the solar winds kick up over about 400 kilometers, it makes you really tired, agitated, really grumpy, just lethargic, can't really mentally or cognitive sort of put two thoughts together. So and then in conjunction with the Schumann, and something that I observe, I can't back this up with any facts, is just observation. But what I have felt is sometimes, when you have that really high energetic upswing in energy where you feel a bit floaty, blissed out, you kind of in that, fifth dimensional energy space, or whatever you want to call it. I call that like a multi-dimensional energy that comes in. Because it's not you can't really track it on any of the space weather, but you can feel it. Sometimes I see it as a white mist, and so for a day it feels like my eyes aren't working properly because I can physically see this white energy and everything's very heightened. And every time that happens, the Schumann goes for a big spike about anywhere up to 24 hours after. So I find that really fascinating that there's this, I call it multidimensional because 3D technology cannot track it, but there's this high energy that comes into the planet, and then the Schumann shows that there's a frequency increase. So that's my little. So we've had that pretty much almost on a looping pattern in the last 3 weeks, where at the end of the week there's a bit of surge of energy, the Schumann starts to go off, then we have the solar winds come in. The solar winds I see is like it kind of wipes our density, it like kind of rattles things up, and blows out the cobwebs, as I have referred to it before. And then we start another week. And so that's been consistent now for 3 weeks leading into this election. And of course, we've got the 11/11 gateway, and we're well and truly in that energy now. And this is going to be probably the most potent we've had so far. That's my thoughts. That's my little. Thanks, Donovan, for bringing that up. That's my whole take on it all.
It's good that you've got your own little beacon measurement of it, though, too, where you can track it.
Yeah, it is.
Over time, yeah.
A reference point.
It feels really significant because it's like we're radars and vessels of the cosmic energies coming in, right? If it's happening in the universe, how do we know it's happening? Because we receive it and we pick it up. I just wonder, Alisha, I don't know how many people really follow that. But the thing that I always come back to that always blows me away is it was 7.83 hertz since the beginning of recording. Right? That's correct, isn't it? 7.83 hertz for like 50 years. And then in the past, how long?
Since about 2013, 14.
Right? It's like we're getting readings of what? Like,
right. Actually, I coming back from India last year, I was on the plane, I was looking for something to read, and I found myself going into an old Drunvalo book, volume 2, the ancient Flower of the Secret of Life, volume 2. And there's a part at the end, there's a chapter, if you can get your hands on it, look it up, that chapter. It was really interesting because keeping in mind, this book was published in 2000, right? So back then the Schumann wasn't doing nothing. Like it was just stock standard. And the whole chapter was basically on what are we going to experience prior to the shift. And there's a whole like subsection that talks about how the Schumann resonance has been I can't remember the words, but basically how the US government has tried to keep the resonance under wraps and not get that information out, because as we lead into the shift, we will see a lot of activity happening, abnormal activity happening on the human resonance. And like this was published, 20 years ago. And
Well, weren't you seeing the blocking of the data? Wasn't like a few weeks ago they were blocking sections of it out? It's like, why on earth would you? Alisha, what do you think? Like, I know like people tracked it around 9/11 and stuff too, didn't they? And then, so what's the impact of like what's happening with the, you know, this sort of election stuff and a bit of chaos in the US? What impact does that have on the shooting?
I don't know. Wow. I see it as more of an energetic. There's another thing that
So I'm saying, I'm more saying, can we impact it? Do we
yes.
impact it, or is
Not-
it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, Donovan, can you think of the name of that website Alexis Buck from Ascension Diaries talks about, that has the different lights, and it shows when the I can't think of the name of it. I'll have to come back and look it up. When the collective consciousness is in its highest level of sync, there's the blue button and the green button, and I think it was showing that it, before 9/11, just before it was at its highest peak, and it was showing that people knew in advance that something was about to happen. Everyone was sort of in tune with that and in sync with that. My personal experience, I was sitting in mediumship class, and one of the guys in the class is about a week, maybe 2 weeks, I can't remember, and he was giving a reading and he was interpreting it symbolically, and he was saying, I can see 2 towers, and now I can see a plane hitting the tower, and we're all just in, and we broke it down symbolically. We never for once thought that it was literal. And then 9/11 happened, we were like, damn.
I always upset because I heard this astrologer say years ago, and I absolutely loved it, because you know they talk about how like the planets and the stars affect us, right? And they said, well, why do we not affect the stars? And that's, and if you believe in a fractal of the compression, then on multi levels, you are those stars, you are those planets, and then if you heal here, you can have dramatic effects in the cosmos. So like, I like to think that we can affect the stars. I reckon that's a pretty cool idea.
I so resonate with that.
When I heard that, I'm like, that is gold, and I believe it.
Yeah, and it's a felt experience. I've got to talk for myself only here. Okay, this is what's happened to me in meditation. I've had this feeling. So when you know, I am one with everything. Okay, I am the infinite source. I'm everything, and everything is me. Right? When you hit that, when you drop into that state of being, you suddenly go, hang on, well, if I am the star is me. Like, there's no separation between me and the star. And then you start thinking about humanity and people. And this is what opens you up to pure love and compassion. You just go, hang on. Even logically, on a cognitive level, if you want to make sense of it, right? If I'm one with everything and everything's one with me, then everyone is me. So therefore, there is no separation, right? And then you take it from there and you start going, okay, so hang on, the earth is a stage and we're merely actors upon it, and there's all this stuff going on and blah, blah, blah. But in the true essence of the experience of the infinite self, you have to be that star, and that star has to be reacting and interacting with you if you're interacting with it. Why do we diminish ourselves so much that we think we're so small? We're not. We're infinite. And infinite beings with infinite potential, and so is a star. So, and then I've had these experiences where I'm like, okay, if I'm one with everything, that means 100 trillion stars in our universe, right? This universe, this dimension. If I'm connected to all of it, well, that means I'm affecting all of it. It can't not be. So it's just like, even just on a logical sense, like, yeah, I can't interact with something without me affecting it. So therefore, I totally agree with you, Dale. Like, and you know what's I've been thinking a lot about. So this alignment, this conjunction coming up with Jupiter and Pluto, right? Yeah, that's correct, isn't it? Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto.
Yes.
Right. and Jupiter being the planet of expansion and good luck and doing things on a grand scale, on a massive planetary scale. I was feeling into this week as the election was unfolding, and I'm like, I've got this feeling that there's some little strokes of luck coming our way that's going to help like propel the good juju forward. And I feel like, I mean, we talk about Trump, but I feel like he's got some Trump cards that he's sitting on that's going to kind of like, we know a lot, but maybe we don't know everything. And that, you know, and I'm also being tapped, sorry, I've got to rave here just for a second. I've been feeling so much, just also that it doesn't matter whether Trump's president or not president, in the White House, not in the White House, or whether it's Biden or not, right? That there's a breakdown of a system going on that actually it doesn't matter really who's president, but actually it's the energy of the fact that there is a massive breakdown of that corrupt system. Yeah. And that maybe we're so, and we've been indoctrinated and conditioned to think that whoever's in the White House, they've got the power and they're the ones that can make the change, but actually we're the ones collectively doing it. So actually it doesn't really matter what the result is. And this is where I keep coming back to, and like you, Dale, all week I've been getting people getting into some real divisiveness over the election result and stuff, and people that have been following disclosure and then losing faith and going, oh my God, what's happening? And then others that are on the other side and whatever. And I'm like, no, you're playing into it. Yes. That's exactly what they want. They want us divided, right? It's divide and conquer, and then you've got power over the people. And the other thing I've been noticing is just the amount of realization of how powerful the mainstream media complex is, in the fact that even people who have had such heart openings and spiritual awakenings because of what they've been following and the information they've been coming across, suddenly losing faith and going, oh, no, oh, it's all going to shit. And it's like, no, the power of that media is starting to just play and trigger that little part of yourself that still is, your soul has been indoctrinated with this entire lifetime. The mainstream media is so deep, far and wide. It's so big. It's so powerful. It's been here since the day you were born. It's still got that level of control over you where when you try to step away from it, it kicks back at you, goes, no, Biden won. Listen to what I'm saying. And you go, oh, really? Did he? What? I didn't think, what? I don't understand. Right? And you get sucked in again. And then you're like, hang on, I've got to slow down. Sorry, that was a rave, but yeah, just so much coming in. It's like, whoa.
That was so spot on, and that's the experience I've had this week. You'll watch one thing thinking it's going one way, and your entire mood, the way you feel about it, will change, and then you'll go back and realign and see it from a different perspective. But I mean, what the biggest thing I've noticed is the mental manipulation. It's like a warfare coming from mainstream media at the moment. No matter which side you are on, we're not getting the full story, and it's so blatant. And like you say, that's part of this system dismantling, because I was training before and I was sitting there watching what was going on the telly because they were covering it. And I was amazed at the level, the opportunity for people to wake up to this mental manipulation that's been going on for decades, at least. And that's why, I've shared a lot on Facebook about what's going on.
I've been liking and cheering you on,
yeah.
Nick.
I think
I'm fine, Nick.
For me, it's because I feel like we're at a once-in-a-lifetime juncture where we have an opportunity to red pill people.
Yes.
And it's not about pro-Trump, pro-Biden, or anything like that. It's just about pointing out even there was articles I was looking at where I lined up for people the wording they used and the photo they used with it. It's that simple. That's the programming. A headline and a photo, and don't worry about what's in the article. That's how they do it.
Nick, did you see the one when Trump won in 2016? Right, I was talking to Alisha about this the other day. They put up a photo, like they were like, yeah, Trump's won the election. You've seen those clips where CNN over the night, they like slowly had to come to terms with the fact that he won it. And then they put up a photo that he's won. He's like, well, he's got his tongue out. Do you know what I mean? Like that. But these are subtle and subconscious manipulations. I don't think people know the scale of these all the time. And then you think of the 4 years of hammering Trump. That's all you get. And I feel so bad for Americans. I've got a lot of American friends, and it's most of them more to one side. I try and push to the other side, and I'm copping so much abuse, but I'm not emotionally invested in this drama at all. I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life at the moment. I've just been out today playing golf. I'm like, everything synchronistically fell in. I'm not working till January. I've just got time on my hand. Like, I'm getting these zonked out periods, Donovan, where I'm knackered for a day, but I've got nothing to do anyway. So it's like
beautiful.
You were playing golf today. That's what Trump is doing today.
I was going to say the same thing. That must mean you're a Trump supporter. And
yeah, like what we're going back to before too, and like, yeah, I'm seeing people falling in this drama vortex, but I'm also seeing around me, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm seeing a lot of things go back to normal as well. It seems very sort of peaceful around. I don't know if it's the sun's out. And like the other scale of America, in Victoria, we're sort of winding back now too.
Yeah.
And like I've got a bit of inside info where they're sort of deliberately bringing the numbers down now in Victoria. So this is part of the agenda too, and they're using Victoria to sort of prop up, be the case of what we should do with what's happening in Europe. But yeah, what was I saying? I'm just not emotionally invested in this election, and it's playing out. It's what I'm seeing the best about it is it's exposing the mainstream media, especially and social media. And I don't think people know the scale of the manipulation that through social media and the AI technology that's connected with it. And I actually believe Trump, there's scales of manipulation going on both sides, even on the Trump side. They've been hooked in with Cambridge Analytica and that too. And that they have, I wouldn't say manipulation, but they're forcing certain narratives as well, counter narratives through the AI. So, and this is why you'll see some people get pulled over to this narrative, and that's everything. You get pulled over to this narrative, and these people are trying to have a conversation, and you're living in two completely different AI narrative. It's whatever, and they're little programs that are set for certain personality types, and these people can't find the middle ground.
I'm so glad you said that, because I literally experienced that today. And it was so weird because I could feel myself swaying, not literally, but I could feel my energy swaying from one narrative to the other. But I felt like I was in the middle, and I was like, well, there's valid and there's like agendas on both sides, on all sides. And it's really about zero pointing and being, as you said, so like detached, emotionally detached from the outcome. I think the ultimate outcome that we should be focused on is ascension, new earth, disclosure, healing technologies, all these other things. And it's like, I guess people get invested because it's whoever's going to bring that we want to praise and support and back. And sorry, I just
I think that things are becoming more clearer this year too. And like I've always known the manipulation of the mainstream media, and that but the scale of the manipulation and how impactful, how controlling it is just absolutely blown my mind. Even with so much stuff coming out and still seeing people in it, and I'm like, this is a powerful beast. And there's no way they would have been able to do what they could do without it is disgusting what they've done with the media, and to the point of these monopolies that exist at the moment, and that you don't think for yourself. We'll tell you what to think. And this is the way out of it, that I'm going to think for myself. I'll look at everything and make my own opinion. I don't
Thank
need
you.
some beautiful ladies smiling at me telling me what my reality is.
I've said that a couple of times, like in the posts I've made, like I hate. I'm like, don't believe me. Go and look for yourself. Go and find the information and find it from alternative sources, because the regular sources aren't giving you both sides of the story. But the key is, don't put your faith in me. Don't put your faith in anyone else. Put your faith in yourself and your own discernment. That's the key here, right?
Just look at their track record. It's like the bad wife syndrome that Wilcock was talking about. It's like, we'll just keep lying to you, like 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, babies in incubators. Like, it's just, they just keep lying to you, and then we just, oh no, but they're telling us the truth about this.
When the virus first started,
come on, man.
When the virus first started, I remember watching the politicians, and it was like the kid going, no, but I'm really telling the truth this time. I promise, I really am. And that's what it was like, because you could tell that they sort of knew they weren't quite convincing the public yet.
And have you noticed the COVID narrative has suddenly kind of dissipated?
Hey, well, Donovan, didn't Trump said when the election's done, the virus will be over.
Yeah, kill date, 4th of November, kill date, COVID kill date, right? And you're so right about the mainstream media being the #1 weapon of the agenda, because it is so damn powerful, right? So in my new job at the moment, which is really weird for me, having just followed all my own information, finding my own information from alternative sources, like you're saying, Nick, right? I'm stuck in a situation where the only thing I'm allowed to do in that job is hear the radio. Now, it's quite an experience, because this week I'm just hearing the narrative and I'm going, what? What is that? All you're feeding the people? Just that one line narrative, and that is all they're hearing, and it is so repetitive. It's like, I can't get over how it's like every 15 minutes they do a news update and they just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It's like it is mass mind control. It is literally like a binaural beat, and we know how powerful they are, but that's them doing the same. And I believe they really understand this, that media is that kind of multi-dimensional technology where it's literally hypnosis. It's mass hypnosis. Just keep repeating the same thing to the point that people can't think outside that, because they've lost the ability to think for themselves. Think of it this way. It's like, we know that if you repeat something enough times, you create a habit. You create a neuro pathway. Well, you don't need to do it for yourself. The mainstream media will create those neuro pathways for it. And your neurons will fire and wire together to make you go, hang on, but that's just the way it is. And it's like, really? Is it?
Donovan, you would have, I've come across these people, you're like, I'll ask them one question. I know they watch the news and they'll answer. I go, all right, they'll answer the question. And I'm like, I know every single belief you have. I've only met you once and I know every single belief you have.
Yeah.
Because you're not talking to a human, you're talking to a programmed robot walking around that's like, they don't have one belief for themselves. It's like, I know exactly what you think about everything. Occasionally, some lived experience might change parts of that as well. But like David Icke talks about perceptual programming, and we just like, and that your whole reality comes from your perceptions. Your perceptions come from information. Most people get their information from the news.
Yeah.
All lived experience. That's the only sort of outlier, is your lived experience.
You know what? I must have like preempted this conversation or plucked some of the stuff out of like your heads, because as you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, that was everything that was coming to me over the last 3 hours before we sat down and recorded this. So I was just trying to get into the zone of thinking about, I mean, probably not the people who are watching this, but maybe the people who you're living with, or your loved ones, or your family, or some of your friends, and maybe direct them to this information, or use some of this to help navigate through these going to be very, very confusing and shocking, surprising times, perhaps.
Could I touch on Alisha? I've just been thinking for quite a while, like why they chose Biden.
Please.
I'm just seeing so many connections. I don't even think the Dems ran him. It makes no sense. But like, the more I've been listening to this guy, Larry Gators, he's awesome. I did tell you a couple of weeks ago, I said Biden's going to win.
You did, you called it.
I said it doesn't I can't see the narrative where Trump wins and what they're going to do about it. It's going to be chaos if he wins in a landslide, which if you're looking at the momentum, there's probably never, ever been more momentum for a leader in history in the US elections like this. I mean, I'm not over there. And most of the people I speak to are like hardcore Democrats too, but like, it's a big country. But like as far with Biden, I'm seeing a link in with so many different conspiracies and agendas that have happened over, because he's been in politics 47 years. There's so many layers of what's happened over 47 years this man is linked to. And is this going to be the beacon to bring all these aspects together? You've got now links to China. I don't even want people talking about he's going to be the president. We've got the laptops bloody impending. We've got the Russiagate scandal. Like, he should already be in jail for what's already come out. There's enough evidence there to put him away. But now we're seeing links with like Jerry Sandusky, and he was this guy at Penn State that was involved in pedophilia and stuff. Hunter Biden was on the board of these sort of things. Then he was connected in with the Whitewater scandal, with Hillary Clinton, the drug running into MENA, like all the money received. So, and this brings in all like this cultural conditioning they've done over the years, where they locked up millions of black people, because he was involved in this drug running operation as well with Bush and Clinton. And it's just like, there's so much of it coming. And then he's linked in very well with like John Kerry, who they were like served on the same boards together. And then Kevin Rudd now's been linked in with John Kerry on another IPI thing. And they're putting all these characters into like this same sort of network. They're sort of showing the network, and then they're showing the media involvement with all of it. But that's just why I'm saying, I'm like, why are they putting this man up there? And it's because I feel that if they can take him down, there's about 50 dominoes that are
I was about to say the domino effect.
They're going to be exposed. It's not about Biden. It's a global, people starting to think, it's all China's doing it. No, it's not China. It's not even this global network. It goes further than that. But like, it is a global criminal syndicate that's been around for thousands of years. Biden is just the face of that network at the moment. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, hugely.
But if he didn't win, like, because everyone's been forced into watching this now, like everyone's watching it. And like, shit, if some big pennies drop, everyone's watching that too, aren't they?
See, the thing is though, I'll have to pull you up on that.
Yeah.
From where I sit, he hasn't won. And I still stand by 100%. I'd put money on it. If I wasn't waiting on money, I'd have taken $1,000 and put it on Trump to still win. It's paying about $10. It's probably further out. It's a done deal. He'll serve a second term.
I've been thinking, Nick, too. Thinking about somebody that knows what they're doing, okay, and knows the playbook. And wouldn't you think if Trump had lost the election and there was a plan in place and he knew that he had all the evidence and had all the stuff, or the opposite, if he didn't have that, wouldn't he be, okay, so when we have an Australian election, right, and you're in a situation where you're neck and neck and you've got to form a coalition to form a government, what are you doing? You're on the phone. You're ringing every single member and going, form a government with me, form a government. Come on, we could do this. We could do this. Okay, what deals do you want done? Okay, here's what you care about. I'll look after you. Just form a government with me, right? He's not freaking out. No. He's playing golf.
Like Dale.
And you know what I find really interesting about that? The word golf equals 22. 22 means the master builder of, right? The master builder, a master manifester who is master building something new. And to me, a total sign that Trump has got some kind of, he's in some position where he is totally in control. He's calm. He's not on the phone in the White House going, shit, we've got to fix this. Oh my God, we didn't think this was going to happen. No, he's not. In fact, to me, it's kind of like what he's actually doing is he's showing them, I'm relaxed. I've got nothing to freak out about because I know and I have what I need. I'm going to show you guys that I'm completely and utterly in control, right? And 22 is a master number. It's self-mastery. He shouldn't be playing golf. Like if there's no plan in place and he doesn't have the goods, he would be doing something different. But so synchronistic you were playing golf today, Dale.
You weren't playing with Trump.
Can I give you a 17 one I come across yesterday? You might have heard it. I'm sure you would have heard Eisenhower's final speech, right? Where he talks about the military-industrial complex. He warns about it. That was his leaving speech to Kennedy. The date was January 17. Here he's got the pen out. January 17, 1961, warned about the military-industrial complex to Kennedy, who, that Kennedy was taken out. But the 1961, 17 too, yeah?
Oh, man. I love you guys because I wanted to show you guys something. Can you see that?
Like, oh,
Wow.
Really interesting, right? Yeah. You ever wanted to know that we were in a spiritual war? 7 is the number of spirituality, right? Okay. What else? This. Look.
the highlight of this conversation right now.
Why do you think Victoria is so pivotal in this war?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then that date you just gave, just wrote it down. It's got a double 17 code in it.
There you go.
So I don't want people to think, oh yeah, numbers. I want people to understand that it's the energy of fractals repeating and cycles of time repeating. Back to Eisenhower and JFK, we feel like we're witnessing a new situation where with JFK, they succeeded. They took him out, right? They've wanted to take Trump out, clearly, and if they had still had all the power that they had back in those days and the CIA was still doing what it did, he'd be gone already.
Yeah, I've said that. It was the 60s. He wouldn't have lasted a day.
No, absolutely. So there's something protecting him.
Okay, no, I got to tell you one, Donovan too. There's this great clip because I've watched so much David Icke, but he got asked. He's been asked many times, why haven't you been taken out? Because that's people go, oh, if you knew that much, you'd be killed. And he talks about, and he went and saw this shaman, Credo Mutwa, he's quite a famous shaman. Yeah, he just died this year. He's unbelievable. Yeah, look him up. But he spoke to him and he goes, they've tried to kill you many times, Mr. David. And he said, they can't do it. They can't. And then David Wilcock talks about how you can't kill the Red Cross worker. So this goes back to World War II. If you put the Red Cross on, it can't be bombed, right? And he said that it works the same spiritually, that if you are on the path and you continue to do the right thing and and if you are on the path, you're going to get temptations. They'll throw things at you. And this is why they try and buy people off. And once you've been bought off, they have the right to do it. And there was a guy called Chip Tatum who worked for George Bush Sr. as an assassin. Right? He was a pilot, but he was like flying heroin from, I think it's called Project Pegasus or something. But he worked directly for George Bush Sr. And he said the same thing, that they would never take a person out they would have to tell them first. But they had to manipulate them. And then you look, so what David Icke said was, they can't do it energetically. They could love to go up and shoot you in the head, but we're not living in a physical world. There has to be an energetic match, and they can't do it to you. And he said, people go, why don't you need a bodyguard? I said, a bodyguard is a physical representation of fear.
Mm.
If I have a bodyguard, that means I have something to be fearful of. He goes, I have nothing to be fearful of. I don't have a bodyguard. And I think there is some sort of, look at Trump's been doing these rallies. There's a million chances to take him out. But maybe there is that.
No.
I don't know if he's like the Red Cross worker. People are protected and there's contracts before we enter this lifetime. And he has something to do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because he's a deep, we can all agree he's a deeply flawed human like most of us, right? And I've thought for a long time that he's being looked after somehow. And you look at things like, I mean, getting a Supreme Court justice in literally weeks ago. I mean, you can't make that up. So actually, Chris Geo touched on something similar. And I heard him speaking about both Trump and Melania embodying the energy of Isis and Osiris.
Right.
And it really resonated because I do think that Trump is being looked after for some reason. I really do. I mean, he's clever, but some of the stuff that happens, I mean, you can't predict that. You can't make that happen.
And sorry, Dale and I have a bit of an in-joke about crabs and
That's what that was.
There was a theme happening around the time of that lady passing away. I can't think of her name, and the appointment of the new Supreme Court justice.
Ruth Jada Ginsburg or something similar. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not good with names, but at that, there was just a lot of synchronicity that happened around crabs.
But look at the divine timing of that. Like, how's this lady when she dies? Like, month before, the Dems like, well, this is why I said Biden's going to win. Why are they all going crazy about a Supreme Court justice appointment? Who cares? He's allowed to do it, but they were trying to stop him. All of a sudden, oh shit, this is going to go to the Supreme Court. Because that worked out well, didn't it?
I think you were talking earlier, Dale, about like the appointments that have been made so strategically throughout this year that have set up for where we're at right now. Well, I say where we're at.
One, Donovan sent that video the other day, talks about Trump appointing the Postmaster General midway through the shit. No one even spoke about it. Who's in charge of the whole postal service, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
bad. Look at it. Donovan's eyes.
No, I know that they've been popping out of my head all week. It's like, you know, for Q followers, like we heard all these phrases like "watch the water," and we had all these. It's like it had multi-dimensional meanings, so many meanings, right? Watch the water, the children, right? The tunnels, the water.
Oh, lost him.
Oh no, he got too excited for the internet.
Give us some numbers, Donovan. Look at his face frozen on that too.
Oh, he's back. You're back.
Go.
No.
Oh no. Nick, you lost it.
At least that's a bit more flattering.
Do you want me to carry on?
Yeah, if he could.
Oh no, he's there.
Oh no, he's back. We got him back. Yes.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, cool. What did I miss?
We're just waiting for you.
No, we're just waiting for you. Having a giggle, saying you got too excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So yeah, the watermark on the ballots. That's it, right? And I couldn't help thinking the minute I saw it. So apparently the watermark is a red poppy, and I'm like, that's 11/11.
What?
Right? Well, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah. Isn't it?
Remembrance Day.
11/11.
Remembrance Day.
Remembrance Day. Soul Remembrance Day.
Oh, okay.
Like, and then, you know, just like so many things that I've started to go, okay, so what you were saying, Dale and Nick, about, you know, you think things are one way, but then you start to get really creative. Hang on, if they've been so good at this for thousands of years, they thought from all these different angles, you know, okay, so yeah, okay, we get ACB into the Supreme Court, right? And then you got Steve Bannon, who got fired by Trump, but Steve Bannon just got like censored by, was it Twitter? He got taken out by Twitter, right? Because he's actually coming out and directly saying, you know, that the voter fraud stuff is as real as anything. And it's like he's become this real support and proponent of Trump, whereas many Republicans that regain their seat, they won't even say a thing to support Trump. And he's getting censored. And it's like, hang on, maybe I had this weird thing. I'm like, maybe Trump sat down with Bannon and went, look, I'm going to fire you. And it's going to be part of a very long-term plan. I need you to act like you're really shocked and it's all going to go to shit, but I'm going to be using you later on down the track for something that's going to be really important when the showdown happens. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is it's so intricate, and these people have been so smart at what they do. They have to be extra smart to be able to outdo them, to be able to bring down a system that has been around for thousands of years. They know what they're doing. You've got to think outside the box.
100% on the game.
You know,
yeah.
and I'm probably just talking crap now, but yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I even like I saw some alternative media outlets who are very pro-Trump, and I know they have a direct line to him, so they can get the information they need to get, and they're very down about what's happened at the moment, and they don't seem confident. Whereas you'll see other people that do seem confident, and I almost feel like they're playing their role in the game, and playing it down at the moment for some sort of reason.
Yeah, it's like watching Dan Bongino, because he's pretty close to Trump.
Yeah.
He's doing all this like, oh man, like I can't believe this is happening. He seems a bit down, whatever. And this guy's like the most uplifting vibration ever, and a real go-getter. And just seeing him do that, and I'm like, hang on, but maybe if he really knows what's going on, maybe he is having to play a role. It's just working on so many levels. Hey,
I'm seeing a lot of it. Like, you follow the Trump stuff, and then you look at what's happening in Victoria too. And then sort of Fox News coverage, which is like, oh, sorry, not Fox, Sky Australia, which like people love them, but like it's like an alternative mainstream light, right?
Yeah.
But and like the stuff they're using to expose Andrews with this like whole hotel quarantine, there was no hotel quarantine outbreak. But like again, I'm seeing narratives to take him down. And the exposing of his connections with China. And I've been telling everyone, I'm like, I hope he's on this bloody laptop.
You seem to think he might be, though.
They're using this China narrative everywhere. I can just see, and they're doing the same thing with Trudeau in Canada as well. And they're showing you a lot of, this is what's coming or what would have been coming. But I don't know. I think something's going to happen with Andrews soon.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting.
Why they keep, if you even looked at a political thing, why would his own party not have taken him down by now? Because if you're worried about your own seat, he's destroyed your seat. If you're worried about being a politician, he's destroying your party. Get rid of him. But he's not. He's being kept in.
Yeah.
I know Dale said that he was feeling nice and calm at the moment, but for like a week or so, I feel like I've got this overwhelming feeling that I don't know if it's months away, maybe 6 months or so, but I feel like there's an intensity, and we're heading towards what I would refer to as an end game. Something that's that point where life gets really difficult for a period. We all have to decide where we stand on particular things, but there's like we're heading towards the, I don't know if it's to do with vaccinations or. Yeah.
I don't know how hard it's gonna. I don't know how full steam the agenda's gonna get here, but it's bloody interesting, especially when they're talking about the vaccine and that too. But like, are we gonna like stand up? But I was gonna say I did that quantum healing session the other week, and I was like, so you get to ask all these cool questions and stuff. So I'm like, I want to know some stuff. But like, it came up in mind that like something big was gonna happen in January.
Cool. Yeah,
I think the question was like, will disclosure come? And it said, January.
Okay, because I feel like
but it seems like if you look now, that's the inauguration, right? It's going to be in January.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see what happens coming out of the European winter as well, because you know, like they'll have had that cold season where they sort of push the agenda with the virus and things like that, and then, you know, our government, as we start to head into the cooler months, will be able to go, well, we don't want what happened over there to happen, so we're going to have to do this, and then you're going to need the vaccination, and all this stuff's going to happen
They
along the
haven't
lines of
done
that.
virus number 2 yet either.
Yeah. Have you guys heard that?
They've been hinting about a bioweapon, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what I had come across, I was like, whoa, really? COVID 2021, right? So COVID 21, and it's like, so they're going to go down kicking and screaming. They're not just going to lay down there, you know, and just go, all right, you got us, we're done. This is life and death for these.
That's a psychopath, isn't it, Donovan? They don't.
They have no
lie to their last breath.
Yeah, that's it. So, you know, I do see a potential timeline, but I know you'll agree, Alisha, like they're all timelines. They're all potential.
Potentials, yeah.
And I'm not saying, you know, this is where, and I noticed we were talking about JCK the other day, and, you know, and when she channeled the information she channeled about Uluru and the 21st of December, really powerful at that time. But then some energy's weird with her at the moment. And I feel like anyone trying to prophesize under the current energetic, it's like we're in timeline shifts. So projecting or prophesizing at the moment is like a really weird or almost dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's like calling the soul to the highest level of discernment and wisdom to say, you don't need to prophesize. Just put your focus on what we want to create for each other.
Yeah.
You know, and COVID 21, I mean, it's a real possibility that they'll go, oh yeah, you know, that COVID-19 thing, yeah, that was just the first thing. Now we're really going to hit you with something really devastating, right? Yeah, go on, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if you knew, like Ole Demigard, he come across this massive plan, and this was in October last year. And like I've always said, like, I think these timeline, there's been so many halts in the timeline of their agenda over many years, and it hasn't played out as it was meant to. Even like 9/11, a lot of people say happened after it was meant to. And but what he came across this sort of NATO plan, or these secret operations within NATO that are responsible for a lot of the terrorist attacks that we see in Europe. And he believes that what was meant to play out, you'd have to listen to his whole thing, but what was meant to play out was the virus was supposed to coincide with massive terrorist attacks all around the world, starting in October last year. And the virus was going to be the lead in. So they were going to hit us with so many things. And this is why we had empty hospitals, he believes, because it was going to be so much chaos. And then it was like, look at this bullshit. There's no one in the hospitals. But they had to keep running with it. So, and he, you know, they have spoken about this second bioweapon, and that it could be a terror attack or a foreign entity or country that, you know, I could even see, you know, China releases somebody, or Iran, or whoever they want to go after. But it's hard. You can't make predictions, can you?
No. I just want to jump in because I've had a theory for a long time, and I like to observe, and I kind of observe within my own experience when you're on a higher and lower timeline. And I have certain functions that I feel in my body when I know, you know, different reference points. But I also believe that there's so many of us that are working multidimensionally, and that's why we're so tired all the time, or we go through those periods of mass exhaustion, because I truly believe that we're altering timelines in our multidimensional aspects, because we're all part of this shift. It's a multidimensional cleanup. So, you know, there's just what's happening on the physical level, but there's also on the other dimensional levels. And I think we're adjusting and trying to pull into the highest timeline reality for everyone, the entire collective. And I think that's why we have negated some what could have been huge tragedies and a lot of collateral damage and devastation fatalities and things like that. I think we've kind of navigated through. I'm not saying we're out of the waters yet. I do think there's a bit more to go, but I do think that, and also keeping in mind that our experience could be very, very different to the person next door who's living terrified in fear that they're going to get, the C word, and it's, they're going to, die or whatever. And where we kind of, well, I can only speak for myself, but laugh and go, it's damn cold. Like, come on, people. But yeah, so I just want to point that out and make people aware of that too. I just want to share though, one of the I like to give examples so that people can like look at their own experience and get their markers for their own timeline shifting, knowing when they're in higher and lower. And generally it's just by your mood. Like when you're in a good mood, uplifted, you're full of energy, that's a higher timeline. When you're heavy and low and woe is me, that's one very strong indication, right? And I think we're jumping around from moment to moment, as fractals of reality. But one I've really noticed is in the beginning of the year I hit and fell and fractured my my cheekbone. And it took a long time to recover. It was very, very sore. So that was almost 10 months ago. And that was definitely when I was experiencing a lower timeline for a longer period of time. And now sometimes for maybe an hour, a day, not that long, I will get the same pain come back again, just here. And it's only when I'm feeling in a lower vibration. When I'm in a higher vibration, it's all fine. So I find that really interesting because I don't think that that's medically possible. But anyway.
That's fascinating because this very week I've had the return. I had ankle surgery 2 years ago. And then it came back late last year. It flared up and I had to give up that job because I couldn't bear weight on it. I couldn't do the job. I was working at Costco for a while, night filling. And I had to give it away because I couldn't bear weight on it. And guess what? This week, it's just come back again. And I'm like, I can't help feeling like, hang on, no, this is like in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick.
I get where he was going with that. Because like I feel like you talk about a higher timeline at the moment. Oh, there you go.
No, he's back.
Do you want to finish?
Sorry, Nick. So my internet cut out. Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Did you want to finish?
Yeah. I just been feeling with this resurfacing of this injury that there's more to it. I feel like you're saying, Alisha, it's some kind of timeline shift, revisiting, going, oh, potential. Do you want to follow the old potential, or you want to create a new one? It's the weirdest thing. You know what I mean?
I'm just going to jump in just really quickly. When you're working in the quantum field and in quantum healing, you really can work on adjusting to select that timeline vibrationally, work with it and integrate it. And that's the experience that you choose. I remember hearing this story. It was fascinating. It was on a documentary about this lady who tripped over a rock and broke her ankle, went to the doctors, had a scan. It was clearly broken. She didn't want it to be broken because she started a new job a few days later and it was inconvenience. But she had been dabbling in, quantum healing, literally did that process of working on going back and choosing the timeline where she didn't fall and trip, went back and had an x-ray, and the doctors were astounded because there was no broken bone. And she was up walking around. And I know not just that story on a documentary, I know people, and I've had experiences myself where I've worked with those principles and healed the physical body and changed the reality. So just to share that and put it out, that if we can do that in our own life, with, no doubt that we're all working towards that for the collective, the highest possible outcome.
You're saying like you can heal the past, you heal the present too, right? And even like through not just your own past, but your lineage's past. But I've told Alisha this too. I did a quantum healing thing too, and like I've been obsessed with like satanic ritual abuse my whole freaking life, like exposing it. And then I did this past life regression in it, and God forbid, I'm the one bringing the baby in for a ritual.
Wow. Yeah.
And shit, that made sense.
Mm.
And like how much of like me wanting to talk about all that stuff is expose my karma for what I've done. You know?
Well, that's a really cool thing to share, Dale.
Yeah, look, there was so much to it, but it was pretty profound.
Mm.
The guilt that I felt. It's I don't want to go all the way into it, but like there was like these themes of like I didn't want to do it, but it was part of the ceremony, and I had to bring the baby in to be murdered. And I've been getting synchronicities about this all week, and I saw one. It was on some movie the other day, and someone opened up this suitcase, and it had a dead baby in it, and I freaking lost it again because this is pretty much exactly what I saw. Because in this regression, I also had to expose, get rid of the baby, right? And it was in a chest, and it was like, why the hell am I seeing this again? It's the same thing I saw in this vision. Mm. So it was what I'm saying, like you heal the past, you heal the present as well. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to do, as people say, do the work, do the inner work, whatever, however that looks. But that's why these sessions are so powerful. Whatever modality or however you choose to do it, if you're delving in a healing past life, and I've experienced this all week in sessions. I've been so busy. There's been a lot of past life themes coming up of people healing where it goes all the way back to, and a lot of it's been Egyptian themes, I'll be honest. There's a lot of shitty things that happen in Egypt that are playing out present day. A lot of beautiful things that happen in Egypt too. But and as we're healing that and resolving it, it brings the healing into our current experience as a collective. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You know what I got too was like this like forgiveness for yourself, like to be able to forgive yourself. And you think like that, it's such a big thing. How many people, I'm not talking about past lives, just within your own life, we've all done shit things. But like to move forward, you got to forgive yourself, don't you?
Yeah. My own experience on that level, talking about like leading to total non-judgment of others, right? The experience being when you realize that we spoke about this, I think in 3 roundtables ago, that you've been the victim and the perpetrator. You've had so many of these lifetimes where you've been all of it, right? So it's like, how do I integrate all of that and heal to a level where I'm creating something completely new? Yeah. So for me, where it came was not through quantum healing. It was at a time where I was opening up my spiritual journey. I was meditating a lot. And then at the time, my wife and our best friend, who we were in bands with, they wanted to do a seance. Now, I was like, I've always been like, seances are shit. I think they're shit. I think they're dumb. I think they're stupid. I don't like them. I don't know why. Anyway, so they started this seance and we got our fingers on the glass, right? And then it's not working. And I said, I think it's me. I think I'm blocking it. So I went and slept on the couch, laid down and just kind of started meditating. And I said, I'll just bring a really good vibe to the room while you guys do your seance thing, whatever, And my wife called in her mum and, they got messages and stuff. But what actually happened was, in that moment, I had a recollection that my wife and our best friend, we are souls that we've spent many lifetimes together. And there's
that about Egypt. Sorry, keep going.
Egyptian moment that that in fact they were witches and I was the witch hunter, and I had them crucified as witches. And that I just had this knowing, and that's why the seance thing wouldn't work for me, because I'm like, I've got to heal this, because otherwise I'd be perpetuating the same thing I did way back when I got you two killed or drowned or whatever, burnt at the stake, because you were witches. And I had this knowing. that was the role I played. So I had to heal that within me, but couldn't heal it without knowing it, right? So their seance that they decided they wanted to have brought that information through to me at the time. And then I just went, oh, right. Oh, God, I've been the perpetrator. I'm not so high and almighty and high vibrational. I'm carrying it all, generations of stuff, and I've got to heal it, you know? So that was my personal experience of that. But yeah, like you were saying, Alisha, it can come through any modality.
I think it just comes through when the time's right and you're ready to receive it and heal it. And whether that's you are guided to someone who's going to facilitate that process and hold space for you professionally, or a friend, or, you know, or if it's going to happen during a seance while you're lying on a couch meditate. I mean, do you know what I mean? It can come through in any moment. And I think what I've noticed a lot of recently, a lot of the times it's through the exchange of another person is that where that remembrance comes in, because obviously there's activations within the energy field, there's activations in the eyes, and everything. And if you've had a past life experience, good, bad, or whatever, you come in contact with that person again, and you remember, and then you have the opportunity to heal. And I mean, when Dale and I first connected, straight away there was that recognition. It was like, oh, I don't know where, but hey, we meet again. It's been a while, maybe a couple 100 years. I don't know.
It's like there's so many of these traumas that you hold, and they're so deep and old. And I think, like, in the human life, you have the chance to get rid of these eon lives. This is how I look at it. Like, so you've got a conflict with someone, and if you can come to a mutual sort of departure in that lifetime, this could be another aspect of self that are bloody warring star systems, and you're that warring star system now, and then you just healing on a human level has this mass ripple effect.
Well,
and that's what I don't think, like, nothing you do is small. No interaction you have in your life is small. It's something that's like, you know, you walk past someone, they give you a smile down the street, and you smile back. Like, I saw a dude dancing at the bus stop the other day. Jeez, it made me smile. Like, just like, I don't think he was a full quid, but like he was just like, he was so happy, and like all this shit's going on in the world. I'm like, I just looked at him like, yes, mate. I'm like, you're a legend. And like, I just gave him a smile, like little things like that. How good's that?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And I love what you said, like, because when you go back and you look at the history of Earth, right, and there's so many galactic wars that have taken place. So it's, you know, I can't remember who said it, but yeah, we are, through our experience here, we are healing lineages and eons of warring times to come back to a state of peace. You know, it really should be simple, but it's to get to that point is highly complex, and it's a big journey, you know.
What were you going to say, Nick? I jumped in.
When was that? Before the cat or after the cat? Actually, I think because you were talking about these chance interactions and things like that fella, and how the smallest interactions are actually quite profound and they all matter. And I often think about, because I love people, like anyone, and I get really pumped out of the most small chance interaction. And I can remember like truckies that 20 years ago pulled into the tile factory I was working, and I used to have a chat with them, you know, on that really human level, and I knew about their private life. And, you know, anyone else might look down on them, you know, he dressed a bit daggy, you know, doesn't, you know, I don't want to talk to him. And these were like beautiful humans who, to this day, I still think about really fondly.
Yeah.
And it's like they've played a really important role somehow. Yeah.
That's why I love traveling, Nick. Like, I love
Yeah.
going to new places and adventure and that, but the people you meet when you travel, it's like, it's unbelievable. And you just meet people you never thought you'd ever meet, and just like, and you can feel like soul connections all the time. Every time I go travel, I'm like, I always do like a mantra. I'm like, I'm going to bump into people that I'll recognize. And like, it's just everywhere. As soon as I walk in, someone's just sitting there, and we're best friends.
If you've been here plenty of times, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, if you think about it, you know, and I've been having this discussion a lot recently. If you think about, if you had a lot of rotations down here on Earth, let alone in the cosmos, right? In each of those lifetimes, you're going to have had a family, a partner, children, colleagues, people that you hated. And the more rotations you rack up, and then you come into your lifetime of ascension to clear all that shit, and then, you know, move into the next. Time's running out. That's why everything's accelerated. And it's like you're coming into soul connection, boom, 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 whether it be for clearing karmic cycles or for activation of remembrance. It's very accelerated, and it can be soul fam, like right here, and I'm like, I want to like group hug you guys, or it could be just like Dale said, the guy at the bus, and it's like none is greater or less than. It all plays a critical role. Sorry, I'm gonna get excited.
Nothing's meaningless. Nothing.
Exactly. I feel like I'm a bobblehead because I just get going. Yeah. What he said, what she said.
I thought your camera was shaking. I thought there was an earthquake or something. You know, get under the door jam, quick.
Yeah, and again, that leads to understanding the law of synchronicity too. It's like synchronicity is not actually that amazing when you understand it. It's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Like the soul remembrance thing. You meet someone for the first time and you're like, I know you. I don't. It's kind of like, how have things been? Let's catch up. Tell me what's been happening from 500 years ago.
Exactly.
You don't have to do that bullshit where you have to go like get to know someone, like, who are you? When you're like, I already know you. It's fine. Let's just pick up where we left off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's that. But I agree, Dale, that the smallest of things are the hugest ripple out into the universe. Like it is uncanny, the most weirdest little thing. And when you're traveling, I feel like it gets heightened because you're stepping into different realities.
Yes.
I know that when I went to Thailand, I felt like I was in a completely different reality.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how do you even know, like that experience of hopping on a plane? I know you've all experienced it. You hop on a plane for 21 hours, you get off the plane, you come out of this plane and you're like, how did I get here? This is weird. Like it is such a multi-dimensional experience traveling. And then all of a sudden, every interaction, every person that you meet, you know, you just know it's like it gets more potent when you're traveling.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Another thing I thought about it too, Donovan, and 100% I agree with all of that. But you might be different. But like for me, I always solo travel. I never want to travel with anyone else. I just like go, and then like I've got no plans. Just wherever I end up. And you find your true self, because like when you're in your own bubble and your job and your friends, and like because you have to put on different masks and for playing these different roles in your own life, and then when you're off and you travel and you're free by yourself, that's who you really are. And you always make connections with like minds. When that's what I've found.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all we're here to do too. It's just like the human connection. It's the best thing ever when like you just meet people you connect with.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So beautiful. Guys, can we just before we wrap up, I want to talk about, I don't know how much detail I want to go into, but talk about dreams or synchronicity. I had a really, well, I've actually had a lot of quite violent dreams recently, which is not unlike me, but I'm getting really aggressive in my dreams. And I woke up from one, and I actually want to share it because it was a really interesting message that came through. I think it's a bit of a collective message. So the first part of it was getting really angry at a male figure, like a patriarchal male figure who was doing something inappropriate. And I started yelling at him because I was like, if that's what you wanted to do, then you shouldn't be married, or you know. So I was sort of yelling and screaming at him, and I couldn't get his attention. And the more he was ignoring me, the more angry I was getting, more frustrated I was getting, and to the point that I started trying to like hit him to get attention. Then he laughed at me, very dismissive, and I got a pen and I etched the word pedo into his back. Yeah. And then I woke up, and I was like, the feeling from that dream was horrific. And I do have these dreams from time to time. And so when I woke up at 5:24, Donovan, and it's 7:24 now, I, sorry, I didn't want to go back to bed because I knew that it was potential I could go back into that dream. And I didn't want to, but I did fall back asleep, and I'm glad that I did because it followed on. The next part, as the scene changed, and I was looking at a house that was. I knew that it was a house, but if you look at it like a collective, it was a big house that housed female abuse survivors, and they weren't mistreated in there, but they weren't, it wasn't a place of healing. It was just like, we don't know what to do with them, so we'll stick them all in there. And I was a bit mortified about that because it was down the end of my street on the corner. And with that, it completely dismantled and it got demolished. And then it was rebuilt, this beautiful new facility that was really high tech, really pristine, really, healing related. And then I woke up, but before I woke up, I got that there's 5 stages. There could be more, bear with me, but there are stages. So it's like the public display of, I don't even know what you call it, throw in some words here, public display of inappropriateness at its highest degree, then being called out for what it is. But there's a lot of anger and uproar that happens in between of that. Then there's the acknowledgement of the old way that hasn't worked for the collective for a long time. There's been no healing. That gets completely dismantled to build a new that is supportive to the people. So that was my dream this morning. And I just thought I would share that because there's a lot to it. I mean, there's so much more to it to unpack, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what time frame that is, but you can look at that in so many different ways, can't you? And go, yeah, that's exactly what's happening on the global scale right now.
Yeah, because like I mean, one of the big things with the Biden thing and why people are so against him getting in is because they see it as a step backwards in dismantling what's going on. Whether or not it actually is, I don't know, but it certainly feels that way. So I guess that's probably got a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had a dream a couple of nights before that was a father and a son beating each other up, and it was so brutal. I had to look away, and I was like, "Is that got anything to do with like Hunter?"
But, yeah.
Or is it Trump? The father.
So, I mean,
we all have that father figure too. Like the government is the father figure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got in a bit of strife the other day sharing the 9 ways to awaken your divine masculine, right? And when I posted that up, I had written that I'd been getting for quite a while this feeling that the reason people easily hate Trump is because they're actually fighting up against the father archetype, right? Yeah. And he embodies that dominating father archetype. And if you've got what I'd like to reterm it, but I'll just use it for now, daddy issues, male or female, right? You got daddy issues and you haven't healed that part of your self and within your own divine masculine, right? Then you're going to get that triggered by someone like Trump. Anyone who is the archetype of this dominating father is going to trigger the fuck out of you. Sorry. And that's why people can so easily, because people have said to me, why do people, like people that love Trump, go, why do people hate him so much? Why can't they see the good that he's doing? Why can't they see the good in him? I'm like, because it's on another level. It's triggering something that's unhealed within themselves. Again, we're all connected. So it's like, you know what I mean? So
they say people join these compartmentalized groups for that reason. Like whether it's the military, the police, even like sporting clubs, whatever. It's where you've got the authority figure, and I like being told what to do, and I trust this man. I'm not going to question nothing. And that can be people that support Trump too, because I think we have to strip down this whole, top-down control, where we can have community leaders, people that lead by example, but not dictatorial, authoritative leaders in any way. And the whole government structure has to go for that to happen. Where I don't need to be told how I'm going to live. We live by natural law. But you're right. It is that the father archetype. Wilcock talks a lot about that too, doesn't he? Like how many people do have problems with their parents, you know?
And I've always said that, like, if we're not addressing an issue that we have, like, let's say, for example, someone does have an issue with their father or a father figure, authoritative figure in their life, and then they've made the decision to cut and not communicate and block that person out. It's only, you know, by the law of the universe, you're only going to have it recreated through somebody else, whether it's in your actual environment or through a government system or on the media. You know, do you know what I mean?
Boy, dang.
Yep. And the marker for it is if something triggers you, you know it's unhealed. Because and how do you know you've healed something? It no longer triggers you, right? And as I've often said about like what's happening politically at the moment, even though I'm watching the left and I'm watching all that stuff, I'm not emotionally triggered by it. I'm just the observer of it going, okay, all right, let's see how this plays out. But I don't get like, you know, when before I'd really healed a lot of my own stuff, I'm not like going, oh, why are they doing this? This is so wrong. Oh my God. Right. I'm just sitting there going, oh yeah, I'm watching. Yep. Cool. All right. I'm seeing perspectives. I'm seeing it from different angles. Yeah. How's this playing out? Whatever, you know, and that's, you know, is Earth actually the healing planet? This is, you know, and then heal on that cosmic level outwardly, like everything in all directions, past, present, future. Is this where we come to heal? I don't
It's
know.
like I've got some work to do because I was watching on the TV, they broke into Christina Aguilera singing a song somewhere in like what looked like New York, and I wanted to chuck a 50-kilo weight through the TV. And it got me. So I think I need a prescription for some issues to be resolved, because I still do get that. I do get frustrated at what are they thinking? Like, yeah. So needless to say, I won't be listening to any Christina for a while.
I think the main thing is like I always say about like stop externalizing.
Yeah.
Like just worry about your own self and work on yourself. I mean, you can still do things on a grander scale, but don't externalize your authority or your power, or even if like everything fell to shit in America, the whole new world order kicks in. What's like I'm just doing what I'm going to do. Whatever happens. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I can still shift.
Yeah.
Where I'm at the moment, I'll still shift between it, and that's why often I'll stay right away from the political stuff. But at the moment, I'm sort of seeing an opportunity to maybe get a few people to think outside the square, because the like what they're doing is so blatant. I feel just this overwhelming urge to break it down. But that's why I sometimes stay away from it, because I do get reactive.
That's beautiful self-awareness, isn't it, Nick? And you know what? I truly believe, like, I've observed myself this year particularly. So I reckon for a couple of years, I've followed the political stuff from afar. I was aware of what was going on, but I wasn't not invested, but I wasn't deep in it. And this year, I almost felt a calling to really follow it deep. And I know that there's some sort of energetical thing that's happening with that. And maybe it's because connecting with that's helping with my multi-dimensional mission at nighttime. I don't know. I really don't know. I just but I think that, going back to what you said, Nick, I think we get called in and out because I do see the political stuff playing out as a bit of a 4D transitional phase. And it's the opportunity to work through our issues, through what's happening on a global scale. And I've watched my own process of hating Trump to like loving him to coming back to neutrality, you know. And I'll be completely 100% honest, like, my fascination with the political stuff that's going on right now, I'm only in it for the memes. Seriously.
The memes are good. Yeah. Who are these meme people? They've got them prepped. I swear they've got these prepped, don't they? Well before. There's no way there's a shooting out that quick. I'd like to create my own one day.
They never quite turn out though. I've tried it. It's just not the same. I always word it wrong, or it doesn't have doesn't have the pizzazz.
No.
Yeah.
I think Alisha, what you're saying is like we're watching the movie, but the projection's coming from somewhere else. It's like we're watching the movie on the screen, but the projection's already there. You know,
Yeah.
so you can take yourself back to the projection and away from the movie.
Yeah.
It's a
And
bit.
it's important to do that
That's
too.
daunting.
Yeah. Guys, I want to thank you all. So this has been amazing. I'm going to step away, but I'm going to let you guys wrap it up because I'm sure there may be bits and pieces that you haven't finalized. But I just want to thank everyone for watching and for you guys coming together for this conversation. It means a lot to me.
I got one thing to say, and I hope Dale doesn't mind. But I'd just like to point out to everyone that picture in the background there. Apparently, he created it. Like, that's unbelievable. Yeah, that's like, I wish I could do that.
Do you know, I've done this like with a few of my YouTube videos, had this, and the amount of people that are like, you're a freaking idiot, you got Anthony Mundine in your like, he's another example actually. Someone who is trashed by the media. He sort of played that role a bit. I'll probably end on this note. You know, a very, very misunderstood guy, a guy that has busted his ass in everything he does. He tries, you know, achieve the highest in 2 sports, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, beautiful family man and community person, and for his Indigenous people. How can you bag that man out? And I don't agree with everything he says, but he's not afraid to say what he believes in. So that's probably, you know, if people can live like that, if there was more Anthony Mundines, we'd live in a better world.
I am going to say one other thing. Sorry, I should never say. But you figured. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dale. So we are coming up to the 11:11 gateway, and what has triggered my memory is I actually saw Anthony Mundine at the airport on 11:11 last year in Sydney. Yeah.
Can I also say, if anyone watches this and knows Anthony Mundine, can you give him like?
I'll tell you what, he'd be stoked with that. He'd be, you know, you'd be best buddies.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's it for me.
Amazing.
You're an incredible artist, Dale. Have to say. So yeah, 12 months later, almost to the day. Well, we're getting there, close, few days. But yeah, saw him at the airport. I don't think we were on the same plane, but anyway, I did see him. But what I do want to say is 11:11, just a small plug. I am doing a transmission. I'll put the details in the description box below. I feel like it's a big, highly energetic one, really focusing on a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about, but more so balancing the masculine and feminine within us and working with the collective energy. So I just wanted to throw that out before we wrap up.
Nice segue, Alisha, because I quickly shuffled my card deck before I came in. Talking of 11:11 and the activation coming up, first card.
Oh,
First card set the reading up, right?
Water, you got water there, Donovan.
Right. Yeah, right. And we just that whole winter solstice, 21st of December. Okay, so you know, obviously Northern Hemisphere, which is where
I was going to say, let's clarify. It's
where everything's happening. All right, so yeah, that just for me was confirmation that what we feel coming about the 21st of December. Nick said earlier, we're coming up to what feels like a point of no return, and we're going to have to take a stance on reality.
Yeah,
that's what that feels like to me.
Yeah.
Really strongly. Then it got confirmed about where we're at and what's happening. That was the next card.
You can't make this shit up.
I know, unbelievable. Every time I come on with you, I got high pitching in my left ear again just before I pull these cards. So, seeing through the veil, right? And it's so, like we talked about it earlier, it's so, at the moment, seeing through the veil, it's really foggy out there. It's like what's real, what's not, what's true, what's not.
A lot of distortion.
So what we got to do is we got to have that courage, like Nick was saying earlier, to have the instinct and the courage.
Mm.
Yeah. And you may have to stand alone from your pack for a while. Yeah. Because we're climbing a big mountain at the moment collectively. So, you know, trust your instinct, trust your intuition, and trust what you know, the power you have within you to stand alone and know that you're going to be okay doing that. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. And then keep your healing up. Keep doing your healing. You are a child of the universe. Yeah. There is light shining upon you no matter what you do or don't do, no matter who you back and who you don't back. You're still shining that light of the universe. You know, try to go with the flow. I know it's hard, but it is going to ebb and flow over the next few months and weeks. Ride the waves, whether it be red or blue. Ride the waves. And then the final card, it'll only lead to one place.
Oh.
That's where we're headed. We're all good. All is well. I love you all. And that's just, I can't believe those cards that just came out.
That's awesome, mate.
Absolutely amazing. But yeah, and I don't pull cards only when I'm just about to come on with you guys. I always like, my deck's here. Let's see what the energy is, and bang that. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, anyway, that's my little
Donovan, that was pretty much a mic drop moment right there. That was just beautiful, beautiful summary of everything that we've covered. So
awesome. And I hope we get to meet Anthony Mundine this week.
Yes.
I want a photo with him.
Dale, he'll be out rock climbing next week.
My brother got a photo with him at the airport once.
Oh, it's something about the airport.
Yeah.
And that piece of art there, Dale, it's got, I've been staring at it because at first I didn't know who it was. And I'm like, it's got that, have you ever been in Newtown in Sydney? There's a little alcove alleyway and there's a massive thing of Mandela up on the, you know the one, Nick?
Yeah.
Newtown?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. I've actually not seen it.
Oh, it's just like, so it's got that vibe. It's got that Mandela vibe about it. There's something Mandela-ish about that artwork. I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anthony Mundine, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. In all seriousness, all the details in the description box below to follow these guys on various social media platforms. And if you're interested in joining the 1111 Activation Transmission, that will be down below. Until next roundtable, much love and stay in your center. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Yes.
Bye, guys.